All right, welcome back to the Untaming Masculinity podcast. I'm Dan. I'm joined by Brad, our co-host. How you doing, Brad?
Good morning. I'm good. I'm good. Ready
Good
to
to,
be here. Excited. How you doing?
good to see you, man. Good, good. We've had some changes this last week, so you and I don't get to talk as much as we usually do, which is unfortunate but fortunate.
How you miss me
I
tremendously.
do. So just to
Yeah.
fill you guys in, Brad and I have parted ways on our battle team. He and a friend of ours, Cam, went off to start a new battle team within the Iron Council. Brad is now an XO, and it's good. Growth is
Yeah.
happening, my friend. I'm
Yeah.
happy for you.
Growth is good. Well, I'm happy for you, but you left out one of the key topics as well. You took over said
I
battle
did.
team.
I did.
Yes.
I have the honor of serving the team as battle team leader. So I'm very excited. So it's good. We got sister battle teams.
Sisters. Unbelievable.
Sister and brother.
Brothers.
Yes, there's a long conversation there that we won't bore you guys with. So,
Yeah.
anyways, today we want to talk about the power of routine. Right. So routine is something that you and I are both pretty familiar with. I think it's something that you and I have both found the power of with our journey in the Iron Council, with our journeys in 75 Hard, and just in terms of the changes that we've made within ourselves over the last 2 to 3 years. So I want to take some time today to start talking about, the power of routine, what we do to create a routine, when to pivot, how to plan things out, that kind of stuff. So I think what the best way to do would be to start with just talking about, what you view as routine and how you use routine in your life right now. So I know it's kind of an open-ended question, but go for it.
No, that's a good one. Routine. It's a structured way to go about your day, right? That's how I look at routine. It's when I wake up, here are the things that I have to accomplish today, but in such a way to make them manageable, maintainable, actionable, doable. A lot of bubbles in there. But to me, a routine is something that I will get up every day. I will follow these steps, and I know that if I do those steps, I'm going to have a successful day.
Mhm.
So, question for you: um, what does a routine look like for you? Like, how do you define that?
So you actually did a very good job defining routine. Routine to me is the actions that I take on a regular basis, whether that's daily, monthly, weekly, whatever, to accomplish certain goals, right? I
Yeah,
view it a little, I don't know if it's different than you, but um, I view it in a way of I have my goals or my objectives, and then I have a certain set of tasks that I have to routinely hit to reach those objectives. And my routine is the execution of those tasks with a certain goal in mind. So,
execution. That's a good word.
um, so for instance, just to kind of give you an idea of my daily routine, right? I have certain fitness goals that I want to meet. I have certain career goals that I want to meet. I have certain house or home goals, family goals that I want to meet. So my routine has a certain wake up time every day. I have a workout or workouts right now because we're going through 75 hard built in at certain time slots during the day. I have certain tasks during the week at work. I use and we can get a little bit more into the execution of the routine or the management of the routine down the road. But I have a certain app that I use that tracks my weekly and daily tasks at work to make sure that I'm hitting every kind of the non-negotiables every day or every week that I need to get done to make sure that I'm successful there. And then I have certain tasks at home that I view as non-negotiable to make sure that my family, my wife, and my kids are getting the attention that they deserve. So there's a lot of, very predictable behavior in that, but it also has to have a certain amount of flexibility because life happens, right? And to me,
Yeah,
that's the hardest part of routine is being flexible.
you said something very interesting there. You mentioned, oh my gosh, I forgot what you mentioned. Um, anyways, it was alluding to the idea of here are designated times so that it's not
Mhm.
that it's mindless, but that it's an expected behavior within that window. And I think that to me, the power routine is that, right? It's I have X designated time to do this. And if I do this, it's going to segue perfectly into the next task or the next objective or going to work or playing with my kids or whatever that looks like. So, I guess specifically speaking, what are a few very specific things that you do daily within a routine? Let me rephrase the question. What are a couple of key components of a routine that you have every day that if you don't accomplish them, your day feels ruined? Do you have anything like that?
I'm hesitating only because right now we're in a we'll call it special phase of life where you and I are both doing the 75 hard thing, right?
All
So
right.
I feel
Non
like my
75 hard edition.
what's that?
Non 75 hard
Not
edition.
75 hard edition. So yeah, okay. So 75 hard taken out because that would ruin my day missing those. Um, I have if I don't work out in a day, I feel like my day is ruined. And I mean, and that workout can be as strenuous or as relatively easy as possible. I mean, even if it's just a ruck or a walk around the neighborhood just to kind of get the blood flowing. Like I need to do something physical every day. Otherwise, I feel like it was a waste of a day. Right. Um, that helps me both mentally and physically. And we've hit on in past episodes the power of physical exercise. So I'm not going to get too deep into that. Spending time with my wife without my kids is a big one. I'm a big proponent of my wife was here before the kids, and my wife will be here after the kids. So I have to maintain that relationship. And I've seen too many people kind of put the kids first, and that relationship will be there in the end. And it's important to me to maintain that. And that's probably a good topic for discussion later on down the road. But excuse me, those are really two non-negotiables for me. The rest of the day, there's things that I like to hit. Like I said, I have work requirements, I have personal requirements at home, but as long as I hit those two things, my day is fairly successful. The rest of it is bonus work, in my opinion. How about you?
Again, it's I've got to get up and get to the gym, right? That to me is the best way I can start my day. Um, so alarm goes off at 5:30. I kind of lay in bed and bemoan being awake for a little bit. Then I get out, hit the gym. There's a calibrating effect that just really sets me up from there. From there, I'll commute to work. I'll do some reading before I actually start work. And then after the reading, I tend to try to do a little bit of writing, but that writing comes after I've worked for a couple of hours. And then I have a very structured set routine when I get home. It's from the hours of, so I usually get home around 4:30, sometimes 5. From 5 to 7 o'clock when my kids go to sleep, I turn my phone off, I put it away, I play with them, I help get them to sleep. After they're asleep, I then spend the next hour or so with my wife until she wants to kind of do her own thing. And then I just have a nightly ritual of reading.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll watch a show, but generally speaking, something for myself. And that's it. There are some other things that go in there, like when we're doing 75 hard. I did neglect to mention that there are some battle plan tactics, as we talk about, that are very much a daily part of my routine as well, that I find time throughout the day to do. Like you had mentioned earlier, it's identifying windows in which I can do those things. So for me, lunch at work is a big time to accomplish something. There's also that window after Nicole goes to sleep and I go to sleep.
Mhm.
But a few of those things they can change, right? I mean, that's the thing about routine that's very interesting is we have set routines, but there's also enough flexibility and malleability to throw some different stuff in there, right? Like, for example, we're doing 75 hard, or for example, I'm starting jujitsu. So how am I going to start incorporating things like this into a routine? So I guess that begs a question for you and kind of segues nicely into our next talking point of, sometimes we mix new stuff up into our routine or we do stuff that we don't love. How do we stick to a routine?
Mhm. So I want to jump back there. You mentioned one thing that was
Yeah.
that reminded me of one more kind of non-negotiable in my settings, and that's dinner with my family. That
Oh,
is
right.
that is a huge part, and I'm surprised I forgot it. Like, it's the only time of day where we're all in the same place at the same time, and it's very important. But sticking to routines, yeah, so I look at it this way, right? I've got certain tasks that are non-negotiables for me, right? So
Yeah.
you mentioned battle plan, uh, tactics and tasks there. Um, I've got certain personal stuff like reading and that kind of thing. What I've found is that for me, I can be proactive early in the day and reactive later in the day. So I front load a lot of stuff in the mornings. I am an early riser like you. I get up around 5, try to get a workout in, try to get my reading in. I get a good breakfast, I get started for the day, and by 8 o'clock, I've got a lot of my not personal non-negotiables out of the way that now I can serve other people more during the day. I can be more reactive with anything that happens with the family. I can be more reactive with anything that happens at work because I've taken care of me first. It's kind of that whole, when the oxygen mask drops, you put that on first. Like, I took care of me, and now I've got time to serve everyone else. Um, so, and I don't view that as a jealous thing. I view that as a prioritization. So, how about you? How do you handle those kind of things?
I've always been, I, I've suffered a lot in my life from the shiny object syndrome of, oh, here's this cool new thing I want to do. Here's this other thing that other people do that I want to try out. And you try to incorporate some of those things into a routine. I can't tell you how many times I've picked up a guitar, strummed it a little bit, realized I'm horrible at it, give up. I can't tell you how many various little activities I tried to incorporate that, cold showers, I tried to make part of my daily routine and ritual. And then when things got hard or things got mundane or progress ceased, I'd quit. And that was an entire lack of discipline, right? I I couldn't keep trying things, failing at them, and establish a healthy routine. So it was a shift in mindset. I had to tell myself there is, like you said, some malleability to try some stuff and be reactive or be creative, but there have to be things, as you mentioned the term non-negotiables, that are non-negotiable. This is my routine. I religiously stick to it, and nothing's going to get in the way from me doing it. So it came from a lot of trial and error, right? This idea of, I'm going to try this stuff. It didn't work out. I'm going to give up on this stuff and getting tired of that. And then finally committing and seeing results. And as we've talked about, we'll talk about often, it started in the gym. I got to the gym in the morning. It was so hard first. When that routine was established, locked and loaded, it's always going to be part of my routine until I cannot walk anymore. And then from there, I incorporated some other things that helped get me mentally where I want to be. Right. The gym, while it has physical benefits, and a lot of them, as you talked about, has a lot of mental benefits as well. So here are the things that I can do for, I front load them, just like you talked about. Reading, going to the gym, saying my prayers, spending some time with God every day. Those are things that if I do them in the morning, the table's set. I'm in a good mental space to accomplish great things throughout the day.
Yeah, you said something in there that struck me, and I think it's kind of a good segue into the next kind of little topic that we wanted to talk about was,
Yeah.
you tried a lot of things and they didn't work, and eventually you hit on what works. So when do we pivot off of our routines, right?
That's a
Routines are
good,
great. Routines are great. I think that, you know, and we we need to be consistent because consistency is going to get you where you want to be. But at what point do we say, this routine is not serving my purpose, and now I need to pivot away from it and create a new routine or create new goals, new objectives, which will result in a new routine. So how do you kind of manage that process?
it's a great question. I know a lot of people are familiar with the concept of an after action review, an AAR. You could look at that as a self assessment. It's something that we do, whether that be formally by writing it out, which I would recommend, or oftentimes we spend a lot of time thinking about tasks we've accomplished or how our day has gone. We all spend time doing that. And I've believed that it's time to pivot if you can spend some time doing serious self-reflection and seeing if what you're doing is working and getting you to your purposes. So if you're spending time in the morning watching Coco Melon or playing Candy Crush, I mean, not that those things are inherently bad, but if they're not moving the needle for you, you're going to know that. And if you don't believe that you know that, I would argue that you do. I think that most people, regardless of where you are in life, can look at yourself and know whether you're happy with where you're going or whether you're not happy with where you're going. If you don't feel happy with where you're going, identify why. If you have a routine set up in place and you're not happy with the direction you're moving in, maybe it's time to take a look at that routine and see what is or isn't working. Love to hear your thoughts though.
I think that's great. So as you know, I have a almost unhealthy relationship with spreadsheets and tracking information.
Yeah, it's
So
gross.
listen, I'm an engineer. That's what we do, right? Data is king. So a lot of times what I do is my goals are SMART goals, right? So that's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Um, the big part to there is the measurable for me, right? I need to have a way to prove to myself that the time I'm spending doing something is helping me move forward. So I will create a way to track my progress, whether it's in the gym, whether it's with my work somehow, even praying and that kind of thing. Like I have a way to put some kind of measurement to it and to see progress. Um, and I'm a big fan of that is what is measured is improved. I'm butchering the saying a little bit, but you get the idea. Basically, if you're able to measure something and you're able to quantify your effort and your progress, you can see whether it's improving. So I use that tool as a way to in combination with like an AAR to look at the effort that I've put in over the past X amount of time and say, okay, have I moved the needle from where I started to here? Am I making progress? Have I, on that 20-pound weight loss goal, have I lost roughly the 5 pounds that I need to lose at this point? Yes. Okay, great. Continue doing what you're doing. No. Okay, let's readjust the task, the routine to try and get back on track or to improve the results that you see going forward. So I take a very scientific, analytical viewpoint to most things. Even with um, something like prayer, right? I will spend time praying and then I'll spend a few moments reflecting on that and writing down, just giving myself, like on a scale of 1 to 7 or 1 to 10 or, some arbitrary scale that you pick, how is that experience for you today? Did it serve you the way you want it to serve you? And then over time, I can see how those numbers are trending. And if it's not, okay, let's reach out to somebody who has more experience doing this and say, hey, listen, I'm having trouble with this. Can you help me kind of find a new way to do this, or can you help me, uh, you know, serve me better somehow? It's you have to have a way, and you were hinting at it in your response too. Just you're not nearly as ridiculous with numbers and analytics and stats as I am, but you're hinting at you have to have some way of measuring your progress. Um, you can't just go and that's to get off on a little tangent. It's the reason I don't like CrossFit that much, right? Because to me, you go into CrossFit and you're doing a very disjointed workout regime. The workouts themselves are very difficult, and I think overall you get good physical fitness out of them, but you're not moving towards any goal, one goal, in my opinion. It's not like, all right, I'm going to go in and this is a 12-week program to increase my deadlift by X%, or increase my mile time, or decrease my mile time by X%, whatever it is. You know, you're just going in for this general fitness, and there's no way to measure your overall improvement. Um, that's a whole different topic we can get into, but in general, that's how I approach that mindset.
Yeah, I mean, even to be a little less data oriented and driven in following up on that point, one of the things that helped me in creating a routine and starting to see success in a routine was that measurement piece, just like you talked about. I do think that measurement didn't initially come for me, because you're going to be appalled by this. But when I started going to the gym, there wasn't a direct end goal. It wasn't, I'm going to bench press X or I'm going to deadlift Y. It was, I'm just going to go in here and lift and figure it out. And it worked for a while, but then I quickly realized I needed something to give me some direction, right? I was lacking direction. And that comes from SMART goals, being specific about what you want, finding a way to measure it, something you can actually achieve. And obviously, it has to be relevant, and then you need to have some sort of time constraint, right? So, what did it for me was simply getting a good weightlifting tracking app. That was it. That got me on track. Spending the time to say, I'm going to jot down everything. I know what my PRs are. I know everything that I've done right there in the app. And there are a lot of crappy apps, but if you guys ever need a great fitness app recommendation, the Strong app, it's the chef's kiss. It's amazing. But to your broader point, we have to be able to measure that. It doesn't have to be fitness. We talk fitness a lot, but that could go with books, right? I'm going to read X number of pages or for X number of minutes every day. That's measurable. That's a specific goal. As we do that, it takes a lot of the questions and the nebulousness out of it all, because we have a structured approach in which we're going to do it. And that structure is ultimately what a good habit, good routines crave.
hmm you hit on something there, um, and I want to be very clear on what I was talking about before with the
Yeah.
tracking. You know, you don't have to be super analytic. Your tracking could be very simple as I've got I've got a line on a sheet of paper that says work out every day, and you have 7 check marks next to it for the week. right? I don't care. I personally, it works for me to have a lot of data. I want to know how many reps I did on bench press and what weights and what percentage of my max and all that stuff. Great. I'm a data geek. That works for me. For you, it might just be I went to the gym today. I had a workout today. I spent 45 minutes doing something physically demanding today. Done. And that's great, right? There's an app that I use for other things called Streaks.
Oh,
That
that's a good one.
that is just great. It's literally just you hit the button when you accomplish the task for the day, and it keeps track of how many days in a row you did it. And for something, for it's very simple, but you get to see that progression over time. And that can be your trend analysis, if you will. Hey, listen, I have hit this goal every day for 4 weeks. Am I seeing an improvement in my ultimate goal? Yes or no? Right? You don't need to get into the nitty gritty of how that all happened. So I think it's important to do that. Other apps that you might find helpful are I use an app called Todoist that has the ability to. I use it a lot for work because there's a lot of recurring tasks that happen on a daily, monthly, weekly, quarterly basis for me that I may forget. And I can literally, it'll just pop up on the day it's due. I do the task, I hit the button, and it goes away, and then it comes back whenever I need to do it again. And it just kind of reminds me, and that's my kind of my checklist. But it helps me build that routine because part of my routine every day is I go into work, I get my coffee, I sit down, I open my Todoist app and say, okay, what are the things I absolutely have to get done today based upon, historical reference here. Okay, I can top load those and then I can deal with the firefighting for the rest of the day and make things work. And that helps me from a routine standpoint, make sure that I'm getting done. A lot of that's the proactive stuff, right? This is something I referenced before. The proactive stuff first, and then you can be reactive for the rest of the day because life happens every day. I'm sure with your work you see it too, but there's a limited amount of time during the work day or during the home day or whatever where you can do the things that you want to be doing to be moving the needle forward. And then there's a lot of time during that day where you have to be reacting to the situations of the day. So you got to figure out how to build your routine in and still be able to consume that reactive portion of the day.
Well put, because that's what it boils down to. Shit happens. The unforeseen always comes. So
Murphy is a bitch.
Oh, Murphy. I hate Murphy. He's a dick for sure. That's how life is, right? Everybody has, I think we all are very naive in the fact that we think life is just going to shake out exactly how we want it. Here's my day. This is exactly how it's going to play out. It never does. Whether that's at home, whether that's at work, whether that's even on a vacation. You could be out in the woods or you could be on a family vacation and car breaks down. You lose your key, whatever that looks like.
Yep.
Unforeseen things will always happen. So it's really important to, coming back to that point, front loading stuff, creating a morning routine. Like, what am I going to do in the morning to make sure that this stuff is done? It's out of the way so that I know that I did it, but I also set the table to make sure that the remainder of the day where I need to be in reactive mode, I'm going to be firing on all cylinders mentally.
Yep.
So that comes with intentionality. And we've talked about that a lot. That intentionality means take some time, plan it out. I don't know if you do this. I would assume you do, just knowing you. But spend 5-10 minutes in the morning as part of your routine saying, here are the tasks I have to accomplish in addition to my rituals to make sure that I succeed today. Write them down. Whether that's in a spreadsheet, whether that's on an app, whether that's literally with pen and paper, write stuff down. And by doing that, by just taking a few minutes to make sure that you have some structure to your day, you are going to be able to much better handle what comes.
Mm-hmm.
You might have a phone call you have to make. you write that thing down, shit hits the fan at work, it gets crazy. You get a free minute, you look down and say, I need to make this phone call. I'm going to do it right now. Or if I can't do it right now, I have this 15-minute window in a couple of hours. Stuff like that, just a little bit of intentionality, a little bit of foresight, a little bit of planning makes all the difference. And I know you run into it. You can have a fairly chaotic job at times.
Yeah.
And I know you've alluded to it and hinted at it, but what's your go-to for planning your day?
So that I wrote down a couple of notes while you're talking. That's exactly what I was going to talk about. So
Yeah.
part of my overall routine is that in the morning at home, I'll spend 5 minutes going through and kind of planning my day. I'll take a look at my calendar. I'll take a look, and I'll write down my non-negotiables for the day, and that'll include my daily non-negotiables. Like I got to get a workout in, I got to do this, I got to do that. But it'll also be like, okay, today I have to get in touch with Brad and plan when we're gonna, what we're gonna talk about for the next podcast. I got to get in touch with the XO in my battle team. I got to reach out to this person. I got to do this for work, whatever it is. So that's my kind of like my daily or that day's non-negotiables, in addition to my regular kind of routine non-negotiables. And then I'll do the same thing at work. I'll get into work. I'll see. I'll like I said, I'll check my Todoist, and then I'll check my email and figure out what fires happened overnight, if anything, that I need to address during the day. And that kind of sets me up in both places. Um, and you hit on a big thing though, right? You talked about writing it down. I don't know how familiar you are with David Allen's Getting Things Done, but it's a productivity mindset kind of thing. He's big
Yeah.
on writing things down, because what happens when you write things down is that you free up that mental space in your mind to remember it. So I have checklists everywhere, whether it's paper or digital, of stuff that I got to do, because if I write it down and I know that all I have to remember is that the stuff I have to do is here or here, then I don't have to remember what I have to do. I just have to remember where it is. And that frees up my mind to remember more important things, to kind of be subconsciously dealing with bigger problems that are more long term, whatever it is. But it gives you this mental. It's like decluttering or defragging a computer. It kind of gets rid of all the useless crap and allows your mind to be more clear and more open during the day. So that's that's usually my part of my process is I write down pretty much everything I got to do, and then also, and I've gotten much better at this over the last, I'd say, 2 3 months, but I don't put off short-term tasks. If I walk in and there's something that just needs like 2 to 5 minutes for me to do and be done with, I just do it. You know, I don't take the trash out and leave it at the top of the stairs and say, "Oh, I'll get it next time I'm walking off to the garage." I'll just do it. That way, it's done. Same with work. If it's just a 2 minute response to an email, do it. Done. It's off your plate. There's no need to remember to respond to that later in the day or anything like that. So, getting the quick tasks done and out of the way is one. Writing things down and not having to remember them, just remember where your to-dos are, is the second part of that.
To echo your point about getting something done immediately, I've incorporated that recently in my life too, because I've realized if I don't immediately do it, what's invariably going to happen? One of two things. Obviously, you're going to punt it, but are you going to punt it to the end of the day? Or is stuff going to happen at the end of the day and you simply just forget it?
Right.
Right. And then if you forget it, you've got pie in your face, wife's upset, boss is upset, client's upset. Somebody's going to be frustrated. And a lot of times we punt those things because they're things we don't want to do. Yeah, it might take 2 minutes to take the trash out. Yeah, it might take 2 minutes to clean the dog poop up. Yeah, it might take 2 minutes to write that painful email you've been dreading. But by doing it then, out of the way, and you don't open yourself up to potential failure. And that to me is a big piece of routine, is taking out pockets of potential failure, right? So it
And,
comes from a structural perspective.
and I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. Start doing this and you will see major wins in your life. Your wife will be happy with you because you're doing the little shit that is so inconsequential, but the fact that you're just putting in that little bit of extra effort, you're ahead of people, right? You do this at work and all of a sudden you're the proactive guy who gets shit done, right? And hey, here's an extra added benefit. There's nothing hanging over your head at the end of the day because you've taken care of all this little crap, right? You can sit down with the wife at the end of the day, watch TV or whatever you do, and chill knowing that everything's taken care of. You can leave work at 5 p.m. and know that everything that you can take care of is done because you're taking care of the little things. You don't, oh, I have to write that email tomorrow morning. Oh, I got to have that conversation with my employee, about the way he screwed up doing this task. No, take care of that little stuff that just bogs you down, and your mental clarity, your happiness, and your success in life will increase. I promise you that.
Couldn't have said it any better. I actually think that was a perfect segue into some action items we've identified for everybody.
Mhm.
Because yeah, that's it. Do your shit, reap the benefits.
Right.
Period. Got nothing else to add on that one.
Podcast
So
done.
podcast done. Arms up. We're good. So we've been talking about it, and we wanted to give you guys actionable things you can do after we talk about some of these things. What are things you can incorporate today to make sure that you are successful as a man, that you are more untamed as a man, if you will? So along those lines, here are a few takeaways that we have. One, create a routine. That routine doesn't need to be my routine or Dan's routine or David Goggins' routine or Jocko's routine. Make it something of your own. What are some things that you enjoy doing or that you feel like you can benefit from having done every day? Whether that's go to the gym, meditate, read, pray. Identify things that one, you're interested in, and two, you know that you can do. Yeah, you might be interested in learning how to train dogs, but in reality, if you don't have a dog, why the hell would that be part of your routine? Make it something that you can do, that you're excited about, and that you feel that you can continue doing even when you get up and you feel like you don't have it today. Anything to add on that, Dan? Or did I butcher it?
No, you did good on that.
Right.
The one caveat I'll add to that is you talked about being excited about it. There are certain things in life that have to be part of your routine that are not going to excite you in life.
Yeah,
Right?
true.
There are things that we as men we have to do, right? So while things that will improve you as a man, I 100% agree. You should choose things that excite you. Like for instance, you know, um, I should not pick learning to, spending 10 minutes playing guitar as something as part of my daily routine because I have no interest in music and playing guitar. Would I love to be a guitar master? Yeah, but I have no interest in that process in learning that. So that's something that would be painful for me and would not serve me. So there are things in life that are not going to interest you or excite you, but will serve you going down the road that
Yeah.
you need to kind of make sure that those are in your routine too. And the other part I would say is start simple. Don't try to burn the world down, with your routine up front. Start simple, pick 3 or 4 things that are going to serve you and move the needle forward on your progression as a man. And start with those. Get a piece of paper or a notebook, write down, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you know, couple columns with each task, and then just start checking them off. Do that for a week or two. See how things are going. Am I moving the needle? Okay, good. If not, pivot.
No, very good point. We're that segues very well into the next point that we identified, is that a routine needs to be non-negotiable. We've thrown the term out non-negotiable probably a dozen times
Mhm.
on this recording. Non-negotiable means it is not optional. There's no way you can talk yourself out of it. So this routine needs to be an ironclad piece of your day. Regardless, no matter what, your day cannot proceed if you do not check those boxes. So to Dan's point, that's why we start simple, right? If you're going to be starting incorporating a routine and you've never had a routine in your life before, enter this with the idea that you cannot proceed through your day unless you check that box. So failure is not an option. Not doing it is not an option. And I guarantee you, simply making that your prerogative, that failure is not an option, will one, make that routine a key part of your life, and two, more importantly, change your life.
We've seen this. I think we've both seen this in our experience with the Iron Council, right? With new members. You see guys come in and they create a battle plan, which is basically a list of daily tasks in 4 different areas. Some guys will come in and create a battle plan that will have them ruling the world by the end of it. And those guys fail miserably almost every time because they are so used to not having a routine that all of a sudden they burden themselves with a very difficult routine and they fail. Whereas the guys who come in and they go, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I want to be in a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. How do I chunk that down into easier steps and first instill the routine of routine, if that makes sense? Start with simple tasks. They knock those out. They get used to doing a routine on a daily basis. And then the difficulty of those tasks kind of increases over time. And and you start to see this growth path. So to your point, start simple, but be non-negotiable. Have this ironclad agreement with yourself that come hell or high water, I will accomplish these tasks every day.
I've been thinking a lot as we've been talking about James Clear's Atomic Habits.
Mhm.
And it's a great book. If anybody hasn't read that, I recommend reading it and reading it again and probably reading it again. It's a
Yep.
phenomenal book. There are several things that he talks about of note that when you were talking about, keeping it simple and achievable, I thought of his rule of the goal is 1% better every day. If we can strive to be 1% better every day, that's going to portend to tremendous results. But something he talks about a lot in creating habits, which in a lot of ways go hand in hand with routine, is if you're somebody who wants to be a person who goes to the gym, set your shoes out, set your workout clothes out, commit to 15 minutes to go. Or even if you just go set foot in the gym, that's your habit that you're trying to form. If you do that, you almost assuredly are going to stay even longer. And another thing that he talks about that I'm drawn to a lot is it's this mindset shift. When you're creating a routine, you might think, oh, I am not a person who goes to the gym. I'm not a reader. Those are labels. You need to remove them from yourself. You want to say things like, I am somebody who wants to be a reader, or I am somebody who wants to go to the gym. Subtle mindset shifts like that and subtle actions, that's where habits are formed. And ultimately, that's where a great routine is formed. It's that intentionality, and then it's taking small, measurable steps to act. So, really good point, Dan. Good job.
Yep. I think that's you hit the nail on the head there. So just to recap, right, in terms of actionable items that we've got for you guys. First is start thinking about goals from a SMART perspective: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. You can go online, look up SMART goals. You will find a rabbit hole of information. I'm not going to spend any time here going over them, but I would say that you should start with your SMART goals and then figure out your tactics from your goals. They, one will lead into the other. Two is set a routine to achieve those goals. Your routine is the tactics that are required to achieve your goals. Start small is number three. Make sure that you are not trying to become, you know, the leader of the free world in 30 days. Become the leader of your house first. You know, scale things down, make the act of being in a routine for you, and then move on from there. Four is remove roadblocks. Like Brad said, you know, if going to the gym is every day in the morning is your tactic, then make sure you're laying out your clothes and your shoes and your pre-workout and whatever it is ahead of or the night before, so that you're just ready to go and you've removed the roadblocks that you have for achieving that goal. Number five is track them. Whether you're using a very simple piece of paper and a pen and just checking off a box that you did something, or you go deep into a spreadsheet, it doesn't matter to us. Just track it and be able to look back and say, have I done what I've said I've done over a certain amount of time? Number six is review. You know, at certain intervals, Brad and I like to use 30-day intervals based on the battle plans that we use. But at certain intervals, review. Go back, do an after action review, an AAR, do a just kind of a deep dive into what have I done, what are the results I'm getting, and am I where I want to be? And then number seven is, if necessary, pivot. Right? Based on that review, if you're not getting the goals that you want, spend some time thinking about why you haven't achieved the success that you want, whether the goal is still relevant to you, and pivot. Either pivot your tactic, your action, or pivot your goal. So that's the seven things that seven, 5 + 2, 7 things that we recommend. There you go. That we recommend for setting a routine. And I want to reiterate this, guys. Routines need to be flexible, right? The moment you get to the point where your day is so linear that you do this and then you do this and then you do this and then you do this, that you can't adjust, you will fail. So you need to have flexibility. You need to have the ability to be proactive and reactive.
You nailed it. So no, it's a great topic, and there's a lot of lessons learned that each of us has. So we would love you guys' feedback. If any of you have created some powerful routines, share them with us. Well, that's, as I've said a couple times, having a powerful routine will change your life. Period. So it's all she wrote.
That's it. So great podcast again, Brad. The guys can, you know, like you said, if you've got great routines or if you've got questions, check us out at untamingmasculinity.com. There's links to all our socials there. I'd love to hear back from guys about routines or questions they've got about routines, and keep this conversation going. You know, we've got Instagram, Facebook on there. You can find the YouTube channel. Anything you guys need, you know, ways to get in touch with us, feel free. Would love to interact with you. As well, if you want to leave us a rating and review for the podcast, that would help us a lot. It would help get the word out. And that's it. Until next time. Talk to you all later.
All right. Thanks, guys.